Thank you for being here. I know nice days, we don't we can make excuses not to come to church on bad days and good days. You say, "Hey, it's nice. Let's go do something else." Thank you for being in the house. Thank you for being online and watching. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you here, and we are honored and thrilled to be able to do church with you today. We're in the year of victory. Straight to Deuteronomy chapter 20. 3 statements we need to get very used to, we need to get very comfortable with, and we need to be very confident of. And it's this: God will fight for you, God will fight with you, and He will give you victory. Say this with me: God will fight for me, God will fight with me, and He will give me victory. God will fight for me, He will fight with me, and He will give me victory. That is true. It is absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And the song that we did for the first time today in worship, that song, Big, you might say, well, you can't always guarantee God's going to give you. No, anything God does in your life is big. Anything God does in your life is big. It doesn't have to look gigantic. It doesn't have to be full of riches and obvious things. But any move God makes in your life is big. And so that holds true based on that. For my gift to the King in December, we had you give, and some of you have seen these already, but we had you give toward golf carts and a new van for the church. We needed golf carts for the parking lot, and that was something we desperately needed. And we got 2 of those. I said we might get 3, but actually 2 is sufficient. So we're going to stick with 2, and if at some point we need 3, they're the 2 golf carts that you're giving purchased. Those are wonderful. They have nice rims, and there's the van. There's the van. It's a good-looking van. Now, if we could just locate where that house is, we could get our van back. No, just kidding. So if you recognize that house, somebody let us know. But no, it's awesome, and your faithfulness allowed us to do that, and everything was all completely paid for because of your faithfulness and my gift to the King, and so we own those. We're not paying on those, and it's awesome to have them. And some of you have chosen to use the golf cart, and we appreciate that. I drove for a couple weeks, and I felt very rejected by those of you who refused to ride. And so I couldn't deal with the rejection any longer, and so now we have other drivers, Chuck and Paula Wolf. They're a little harder to disrupt than I am. Have a video that the 9 o'clock service didn't get to see the week that we had it, which was 2 weeks ago, and I was going to show it initially. Some threads changed in the sermon, and we didn't get to the video. And this is a video from Pastor Dave and Kim Richardson at Sheffield West, and they are doing a phenomenal job. These are some of the best people on the planet. They really are. They're nice, they're low maintenance, and high output. And just phenomenal people of God, passionate about the community, passionate about giving people Jesus, and very relational, which goes a long way in what they're doing. So if we have that video, we could run that video. I'd love for you to be able to see that.
Hello, family. I'm Pastor Dave, and this is my wife, Kim. As we celebrate the year of victory in 2020, we are so excited about what God is doing in Sheffield West. Lives have been changed, transformed, and impacted by the love of Jesus Christ. In Matthew 28, the Bible commands us to go and make disciples of all nations. And in 2019, we've been committed to fulfilling that mandate. Let's recap 2019.
God allowed us to do some new things this year. We were able to partner with Saturate USA. It's an evangelistic outreach ministry that has a goal of getting the gospel of Jesus Christ into 60 million homes by the end of 2020. We were able to pass out over 1,000 door hangers filled with gospel tracts, and also church information, and also the DVD video of the life of Jesus. We were able to facilitate the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace class this year. We received testimonies from families that are on their way to becoming debt-free. Amen. Also, we were able to have our very first health and wellness educational fair. We partnered with local agencies that educated us on men and women's health, mental health, suicide prevention. They also did blood pressure screening, diabetes screenings, and education. The purpose of this ministry was to minister to people mind, body, and soul. And we definitely cannot forget our annual Hallelujah Festival outreach. This year, we have the privilege of inviting out Team Extreme International, where they provided us with their very unique way of ministering. Those guys are so strong. They ripped up phone books, they bent metal poles, steel poles, and our families and our children, they loved it. Also, we were able to do our Thanksgiving basket giveaway. We gave out 20 Thanksgiving baskets. We adopted 2 families this year for Christmas, and we ended the year with random acts of kindness, where we passed out gift cards for Price Chopper, Quick Trip, and Aldi's. God has done some tremendous things this year. We have seen families being delivered from drug and alcohol abuse. We also had people just come back to rededicate their lives to Jesus Christ. So I am looking forward, we are looking forward to what God is going to do in 2020. I know it's going to be big.
And lastly, none of this could have been possible without the faithful support of Pastor George, Sister Annette, Pastor Nicole, and our Sheffield family. We're grateful for all of your prayers and words of encouragement. We believe in and maintain a year of victory in 2020 as we continue to become passionate followers of Jesus Christ. God bless you.
Thank you. Awesome people doing an awesome work, and thanks for the thank yous. They were not instructed to say thank you, but that was from their heart, and appreciate that. And we are so privileged to have the Richardsons as part of the team, and they're doing great ministry there. Awesome. Most of the time, we have to do something extra to gain or maintain victory. You know, I'm pressing victory on you, and the Richardsons spoke of it there, and even oddly enough, Pastor Dave ended with, God's going to do something big, which is coincidental or ordained for this service today. But we have to do something extra oftentimes to gain that victory and to maintain it. The norm isn't enough. Average is not the goal. You know, I don't want to be an average follower of Jesus Christ. I don't want to live a normal Christian life. Average is not the goal. Turn to the person next to you and say, average is not the goal. The norm is not okay. We need to excel, and you don't have to keep telling them this. We need to excel. We need to excel. We need to go beyond. See, the average is Samson. I'm going to rise and shake myself as before. I've had God's strength. I know what the anointing is. I know what God's presence is. I'm used to it. I'm comfortable with it. I can do whatever I want to with it. If I need it, it's going to be there. That is not always the case. The average is not okay. That's why when you're in here on a Sunday morning or you're watching online on a Sunday morning and you have a chance to worship God in His presence, you better take that chance. You better take that opportunity. And I said this a week or so ago, tomorrow it's not going to be like that in your place of work. Wherever you go to work or wherever you go to school, you're probably not going to walk in and everybody's going to be worshiping. They might be worshiping, but not God. That'll be happening. You'll deal with that. Something will happen in your life this week that you didn't anticipate. In your home, in your body, in your family, in your finances, something will happen this week that you didn't anticipate. And you need to do the extra things to gain the victory to carry you through that. I tell you consistently, and I will continue to tell you, the house of God is so valuable in that we get to experience the presence of God in person, together. We get to experience that. And Tuesday, when you're frustrated and things have gone wrong and you might lose your job or you might lose a family member or something's happening, you know you can go back to that and say, okay, God, I felt you on Sunday. I know you're there. I know your Spirit is with me. I trust in you. We have to do the extra. We have to do more. We have to give more. We have to do more to gain and maintain victory. 1 Samuel chapter 17, just a few verses here. This is David. This is one of my chapters. I have 2 real chapters in the Bible that they are so marked up, I almost can't read the verses anymore. And this is one of them. David was vying to go fight Goliath. You know the story probably, if you've been around for a little bit, or maybe you remember it from somewhere else. David was vying to King Saul to go fight Goliath. He had kind of been bartering and pushing and trying to, come on, make this happen. King Saul finally consented. Verse 37, King Saul finally consented. He said, all right, go ahead, and may the Lord be with you. Then Saul gave David his own armor, and Saul was about 6'6". David was probably about 5'7". Saul gave David his own armor, a bronze helmet, a coat of mail. David put it on, strapped the sword over it, took a step or two to see what it was like, and he'd never worn anything like this before, and he said, I can't go in this. I can't go with this armor. This is your armor. I can't go with this. He protested to Saul. He said, I'm not used to it. So David took off the armor. He picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream. That was his armor. He picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream, and he put them into his shepherd's bag. Then he, armed with only a shepherd's staff, a sling, he started across the valley to fight the Philistine. Now, I'm not even going into this story. Just this piece of gaining by doing. I want to give you 5 things to remember, and these things are all linked together. They're connected to this, and it's about victory. 1, there is always another battle. There is always another battle. The enemy wants to steal your victory. I had a number of people after last week. Last week was a profound week for many people who were here. If you were not here, God spoke to me intensely about giving a father's blessing and prayer from the Word of God. And I heard from a number of people this week, and even again this morning I've heard from people. And it was profound what God did in some of your lives. And I know for a fact, because this is the way it works, if God did something in your heart, the enemy worked extra hard this week to try to steal that away. Because that's the way it goes. Anybody know what I'm saying? That's been your week. God did something in your heart last Sunday, maybe something you've needed and didn't even recognize that you needed. And the enemy worked extra hard this week, put in some overtime, trying to take victory from you. That will happen. So you need to remember there is always another battle. We get out of a battle and we think, okay, I'm through it, I'm fine now, it's good. There's going to be another battle. There's going to be another battle. I consistently go back to the children of Israel after they defeated Jericho, the greatest defeat in the history of the children of Israel for centuries. And there was another battle immediately following that. We don't have a lot of time to celebrate our victories without also preparing for the next battle. Because the enemy's coming after you. Part of nature is coming after you. I said it about a month ago, and I've had 2 people come to me specifically and say this, that the thing about your utilities, your refrigerator, your oven, your microwave, these are called appliances. Thank you, I had to find it. It's a cavernous area up in there. Words try to hide. So your appliances, I mentioned maybe about a month ago, that your appliances have some kind of language, and when one goes out, they speak to each other, and they all decide to go out. And I've had 2 people come to me and say, Pastor, you should have never said that, because that happened. One went out, the other one went out, the other one went out. And you know what? You can handle maybe one of those in a month, but having all of that happen in a month, you end up going out to eat a lot. And you empty your refrigerator out. And you take more trips to the grocery store than you normally would, because you don't even have a place to store it. There is always another battle, and it may not be simplistic like this. It may be something much more meaningful than an appliance. There's always another battle. Number 2, just because God is with you doesn't mean there's not more to come. Yes, God is with you. Yes, He's with you. I'm trying to pound that into your head that you belong to God, who you are. You're a child of God. You're a servant of the Most High God. Your steps are ordered. You are commanded to follow Him, and we are doing that. We try to walk in obedience, but there's always more to come even though God is with us. Yes, He's with us, and the enemy will try to convince us that because you're going through another battle, and because you had victory and you thought you were through it and now more has come on you, that God is not with you. God is still there. There's more to come, and He's still with you. Even in your worst moments, God is with you. In your worst times, God is with you. In your most devastating years, God is with you. And in the darkness, when you think you're alone and you're desperate and you're hurt and you're wounded and you have crazy thoughts, God is with you, and He's still calling your name. The Holy Spirit never stops reaching out to you. So when you have those moments, those days, those weeks, those months, you are not alone. You are His, and God is with you. Number 3, you might need another stone. One of the things that never gets preached in this passage, never is a strong word, but I've never heard anybody preach on it. I've touched on it, I've hit on it, and focused on it, but I've never preached entirely about it, is the fact that David took 5 stones. You know you're going to need the one. You know, we're all aware of that. Oh, yeah, it's a battle. The devil's coming after, he's a liar. He's coming after me. I believe it. I'm ready. I'm ready. Well, there's a good chance you're going to need one more stone. There's a real good chance at some point you're going to have to bend down into that stream and pick up another stone. And you might have to pick up another stone. And you might have to pick up another stone, because it's going to keep coming at you. And it wasn't a lack of faith. I've heard people say, well, it must have been a lack of faith, or he was planning on defeating giants, Goliath's brothers as well. He was ready to defeat whoever stood before him. But what he knew is, I believe, can't totally prove it, but I think David's life kind of lends itself to this. David was a realist, and I believe he probably thought, you know what, I'm good with a sling, and I know God's with me. I'm coming at this giant in the name of the Lord. I'm good with the sling. I've practiced. I've killed animals. I've done all kinds of things. I'm good with that. But there's a chance I'm not going to hit him on the first one. So I'm getting another one. And I might need another one. And I might need another one. And I might need another one. So as he's packing away those stones, he knows that he's ready. See, you might have to pick up another stone. Some of you are in a place today when you need to pick up another stone, because what you had has gone. What you thought was your victory is gone. And the enemy is walking all over you. You need to pick up another stone. And what does that look like? That's surrendering to God all over again. God, I need you today. That's worshiping God. I'm in your house and I'm worshiping you, God. I give myself to you. Let's go back another week. I give you today. I give you today, God. I give myself to you today. That's another stone. You might have to pick up another stone. Well, no, I'm good. I've got this. No, you don't have it. I guarantee you. When you think you've got it, you will realize soon that you did not have it. You'll have to pick up another stone. And don't feel bad about it. It's not a lack of faith to reach down and pick up another stone. I recently went into a situation that was a hostile situation. Kept it pretty quiet. Didn't want it to spread too much. I've got a lot of friends, and I could have taken an army. Some of you would have been in the army with me. I was going into a hostile situation where threats had been made, and weapons were a thing. And I thought, okay, I need to take somebody with me just for the sake of having somebody with me. And I thought, no, you know what? I'm going to take a couple people with me because there's some strength in numbers. And so I walked into a situation with two people that are much larger than me. And so I was the little guy, and that was kind of fun. I walked in, and a couple people said, "Wow, okay, man, you brought some muscle with you, didn't you?" I said, "Nah." Yeah. And it alleviated some things. It played out a little differently than it would have been if I would have just walked in alone to that situation. Sometimes you have to say, okay, God, I'm walking into a hostile spiritual situation. I'm walking into a hostile situation. The enemy wants to steal and kill and destroy. I'm walking into a hostile situation, and I need you with me. And I know you're with me, but just in case, I'm going to pick up another stone. See, it's not lack of faith, it's preparation that drives you to pick up another stone. Which leads to number 4, have a little more than you need. Preparation. The word cerebral has become very common in TV land, which I abhor more and more all the time. But the word cerebral, he's a very cerebral athlete. He's a very cerebral this. That person's very cerebral. Cerebral has become a common word. And it just means you're a thinking person. You use your intellect as well as the other things. You don't just run wild and not think about it. So I was preparing this, and I thought, we really need to focus on being cerebral Christians. I don't want to just be an average Christian. I don't want to just be an everyday follower of Christ. I want to be a cerebral Christian. I want to be one that prepares and thinks about it beforehand. I want to be one that's ready because I know the enemy's coming after me. I know the enemy's coming after my favor, my finances, and my family. I know that. If I'm following Christ, the enemy's coming after my children. The enemy's coming after your children and your grandchildren and the family that lives in the house with you. The enemy's coming after your finances, and the enemy's coming after your reputation, your favor, and the honor and the blessing you've been given. We know that. So being cerebral, I'm saying, you know what? I'm getting ready to go into hostile territory this week. Some of you have some big things coming up this week. Decisions, meetings, things that are going to be decided about you, for you, things that have been cast on you that you have to walk under that shadow. Things that you're afraid of, physical things, emotional, spiritual things. And before you walk out of this room today, you need to let God know, I need to pick up another stone. I need to pick up another stone. I need to be a thinking Christian. I need to be a thinking Christian. I don't really have a great appreciation for people who just don't use any common sense at all. God gave us common sense to use it. We see people do that on the road all the time. You're turning right, and somebody cuts in front of you from the far left lane and turns right. It's like that's no common sense at all. Or you're driving down a road, and they just slam on their brakes in the middle of traffic. Had somebody do that yesterday, and it's like, why are you stopping 3 car lengths behind the car in front of you for a stoplight? And so then you stop, and the person behind you stops, and everybody gets frustrated. It's like, come on, use some sense. Use some common sense. I think there's a chance that once in a while God looks down at us and watches me or you and says, come on, use some common sense. Really? I gave you common sense. I gave you some intellect for a reason. Can you please use it? You don't need to turn right from the far left lane in your spiritual life. And if you're going to drive that slow, please get all the way over to the right. Use some common sense, son. Cerebral Christians. One of the things I always told my kids, and they haven't learned very well, you try to teach them a few things and have them remember, and I taught all my children this, and none of them have really learned it very well. And there's a list, but this is one that I'm bringing to you today. And it was this: always carry some cash with you. Always carry some cash with you. Because if you're old school, you realize that cash can get you out of just about any mess. It's true. And that is worth an OG applause right there. All you OG and OGesses in the crowd. Hey, I have broken down in the middle of nowhere where I thought they were going to cook me and eat me. And $40 will get you out of there. And I will gladly pay it. I've been through all kinds of stuff because we traveled a lot on the road over the years and done all kinds of stuff and taken risks. And I've been some crazy places and done some crazy things. And it's amazing what you can get yourself out of if you have a few dollars in your pocket. So I would tell my kids, always carry some cash. You know, you have your little stash. I know nobody likes to talk about their stash, their cash stash. But you have that, and you have your little security bill tucked away somewhere that you think nobody knows about. Well, they know you have it, and someday they'll find it. But you have that stash, and you think, oh, yeah, well, I got it tucked right back in this secret compartment. You know, my billfold has an extra compartment. Everybody's does. But so you tuck this stash away, but it's worth having because you can buy your way out of something. If your car breaks down and you have no phone transmission and your credit, I was out of the country one time and they turned my credit cards off. I had no cash and I had no phone service in Mexico. Okay. I couldn't go, and people would just go to the store and buy a phone card. I can't. I have no money. I have no card. I'm a widow. I got nothing. If you have a little bit of cash, you can make it happen. Now, I'm also I'm a chocolate milk guy. I think chocolate milk is actually the nectar of the gods. I know some of you would dispute that. And so it's not unusual for me to go into a convenience store and buy a little thing of chocolate milk. I'm not the guy who buys a gallon and drives down the road drinking a gallon of it. I break it up in smaller increments. And so I love chocolate milk. I have my whole life. I still do. If people in my house goes to sleep, I'll sneak a glass of chocolate milk so I don't have to be harassed about it. And so that's the way it goes. So I'll go into a store and I'll say, okay, chocolate milk costs $2.40. I know what it costs. I've got it. I'm going in. Here's my $2.40 with tax. I'm going in. I'm buying it. I'm good. Well, you know what happens? Sometimes you go in and they've raised the price and you didn't know it. It makes sense to always have a little extra with you. Well, I've got just enough God to get by. That's not enough because the enemy's going to raise the price on you at some point. The enemy's going to raise the stakes on you because you have to remember, we too easily forget that every time we take a step forward, he's taking another step forward at us. And so the enemy is going to raise the price on you at some point. So don't just go in with one stone and say, okay, I'm good, I've got one shot, I know I can do this. No, sometimes you have to pick up another stone. Sometimes you have to be willing to say, I'm going to bend down and I'm going to pick up another stone and I'm going to be ready to do something that I wasn't ready for yesterday. Because last time the enemy attacked me like this, I fell and I went back to the old stuff and I went back to the old people and I went back to the old words and I went back to the old habits and I went back to the old ways. Sometimes you have to pick up that extra stone because the enemy's going to raise the price of the chocolate milk while you're out of the store. have a little more than you need with you. That's exactly what David did. That's why he picked up 5 stones, because he knew he might need a little bit more. Is that a safe theological assumption? He might need a little bit more. For the brothers, for another, if he missed, whatever the reason, he might need a little bit more. So I'm telling you, like I told my children growing up, carry a little bit more with you. Don't just walk out with what you have to get by. It's not enough. Number 5, be ready for the next giant, because he's lining up. See, Goliath was defeated, but the Philistines were constantly a problem, and the other armies that were joining with them. Be ready for the next giant. Pray and prepare. It's amazing what God will tell you and what he will put on your heart and what he will impress you with if you're willing to spend a little bit of time listening to him. Spend a little bit of time preparing in the presence of God. You say, well, I really don't have time for that. My house is full of people. It's chaotic. I get out of there. I just have to get my head straight when I'm on my way to work. Well, take that time in the car. If you can't get up before everybody gets up, I know sometimes it just doesn't work in your house. Your life is not set up that way, and it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be like this other person. But maybe for you, maybe you decide to change what you're listening to and create a presence of God in your car on your way to work. Or maybe if you ride public transportation, you put your earbuds in and create a presence of God while you're riding. So you can create that presence of God in your spirit by controlling your environment. So one of the other things, and I've got the 1 degree shirt on today. This is a 1 degree t-shirt. 1 degree. What I've been talking to you about, and actually these are on sale in the lobby today for $15. The Young Adult Ministry is selling these, $15, all sizes. They've got them all the way up to 5X. So if you want a shirt, they're out there today, 1 degree. And somebody might say, well, what's that? It's 1 degree. What's 1 degree? Well, I'm making 1 degree changes in my life. They'll either say, okay, good. Or they'll say, well, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? If they keep opening the next door and the next door, keep walking. Keep walking. If somebody's asking you questions and you're answering their questions, you really can't get in that much trouble. If you're just preaching and putting it out there, you might find yourself in trouble at work or other places. But if somebody's asking you a question and you're answering their question, and you're not getting all preachy about it, there's not really a lot of stoppage for that. 1 degree. That's a 1 degree turn. That's a 1 degree change. Some of you, that's the 1 degree change you need to make this year. You need to do better at controlling your environment. Well, I'm good, but everything around me is really bad. Begin to change your environment. Begin to change your environment. Begin to control your environment. That's a 1 degree change that can have major change down the road. That's a 1 degree change. And I've talked to you about the 1 degree. And I'm convinced after preparing this message, after I prepared this message, I thought, you know what? Another 1 degree is picking up an extra stone. That's a 1 degree change. Say, okay, I need to change one thing in my life. Get yourself more prepared, more equipped, more ready. Pick up 1 more stone. You'll need it. Pick up 1 more stone. Make that 1 degree change in your life. Pick up 1 more stone and be ready. Be ready for what the enemy's bringing against you. God is on the throne in your life. You need to allow him to rule your life. And I'm not talking rule like dictatorial. I'm talking rule like lead and advise, walk with. Allow God, who's on the throne of your life, to rule your life. He's calling you today. He's calling you today for the 1 degree change in your life. Some of you, he's calling for a life change. If you'd stand with me all over the auditorium, please. I'm going to ask our altar workers to come because I know there are a few people in the room. You need to respond to something today. You need to respond to this. You need a change in your life. You need a real spiritual change in your life. And you say, well, this and that, I've done this. It's not about what you've done. It's not even as much about where you've been as where you're going. And some of you sitting through this service and listening, and maybe one thing snuck into your spirit. And you need a change in your heart. And you know what tomorrow's like. You've lived it out already. You know what tomorrow's like. So this is your moment in the house of God, in the presence of God. This is your moment to make a change. And we just want to pray with you. We're not asking you to join the church or walk and dress and talk like us. It's just a change of heart between you and God. A 1-degree change in your life that's going to produce great change over the course and the distance. But you need that change today. Before you walk out these doors, you need a spiritual change in your life. Maybe you need to commit, maybe you need to recommit, but you need a spiritual change in your life. If that's you today, I'm going to ask you just to step out from where you are. Allow one of these incredible people to pray with you before you walk out the door. We just want to agree with you in prayer. You say, that's me, Pastor. I need spiritual change in my life today. We are family here today. We are for you. This is not discipline, it's direction. We want to celebrate with you, not condemn you. So you say, I need spiritual change in my life. We just want to pray with you and believe God for that change in your life.
I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything. I love you, Jesus. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything.
Before we walk out the doors today, turn to the people on either side of you and say, if you want to go down to the altar and pray. If you want to go down and pray, I'll go with you. Lead them to a place of restoration. If you want to go down and pray, I'll go with you. As the last act of this service, before we dismiss, lead somebody to a place of restoration. Lead somebody to a change in their spiritual journey. You're leading them to the stream to pick up another rock today. Another stone. To pick up another stone before you walk out. Let's sing that one more time, if we would, please.
I love you, Jesus. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything.
We need a couple ladies, if we can, to help us in the altar area. Just a couple ladies to help us with prayer. Thank you. These two, right here's one, right here's one. Thank you very much.
I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything.
God, I pray that you'll go with us as we leave this auditorium, we leave your house, we leave the sanctity of your house, the protection of it spiritually. God, I pray that you'll walk with us. We know you're with us. You're a covering, and you're also our best friend. So I pray that we would sense you there. We know you're there, but we would sense you there with us. And I ask you to lead us and guide us. And when we need to pick up one more stone because of what's coming, speak that to us, God. Let preparation be a big part of who we are. Let us be cerebral Christians, thinking our way through it, but depending on you. As we commit ourselves to you, lead and guide, protect, bless, and give favor. and wisdom where it's needed this week. In Jesus' name, God bless you. Thank you so much for being here today. If you want to, stop and pick you up a one degree shirt in the lobby. I'd love to see some of you wearing those in the next few weeks. They're $15 out there to purchase. The money goes to the young adult ministry. God bless you. Have a great week.
I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love